Hello, hello, change makers. It's a new day and we've got some new interviews for you today. And I'm so excited. Most of this week we've been going international. I can't believe we've been all over the world. But today I'm so thrilled that we get to go to the Northeast part of the US because that is where I was born. So I am thrilled to have with us today Miss Ryleigh, and she's in the state of New Hampshire. Please say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so hello everybody. Thank you so much for being in this amazing community. Shan is building something really incredible, and I find this to be very inspiring. So just wanted to say hello to everyone. I am a mentor to individuals who are trying to grow and scale their businesses and really want to release the toxic patterns that have been in their way that are keeping them stuck right now from their next level. They know they're meant for more. They know that they have a deeper impact to provide, but they're just kind of in a pattern that's not conducive to what they truly want. So that's the work that I do. And I have been in this world for years now, been online for years, and I'm just thrilled to have this conversation. I don't actually do very many podcasts, so I'm excited for this.
Well, wonderful. Well, I'm honored that you were willing to do so with us. So please, tell us a little bit about your story. I had the opportunity to check out some things on your Facebook page, and my goodness, let people know what it is that has you so passionate about this work.
Okay, so this is a little bit of a story, but I started my business in 2020 during the pandemic, like so many other people did, right? I left corporate. I was working for some of the biggest financial organizations in the world, like Bank of America, TD Bank, and some insurance firms, so on and so forth. And I taught sales and leadership development in those companies. And here's the shift. So I was pregnant during the pandemic, and no one really knew what COVID was going to do to pregnant women at that time. And so I just said, like, I've got a month before I'm due. It was March. I've got a month before I'm due. I'm going to stay out and I'm going to have this baby. And once I had my son, I just looked at him and realized I had no desire to go back. I had no desire to have my worth and my, growth and all of those things defined by a man. I just didn't want to anymore because as we know that most leadership in companies like that are completely male-led. And despite the fact that I was training them, I was still being led by them. So I didn't want it anymore. And I decided that I was going to be shifting and building my own business and building my own tower, which I did. And a few years into that, I had an incredible mentor who worked with a number of different people, celebrities, and executives, CEOs, all of those beautiful things. And I was working with her, and she looked at me one day after I'd been going through a really rough moment. And she said to me, Ryleigh, why are you always sick? And I was like, I have children. And they're germ factories. And of course I'm going to be sick. And she's like, yeah, okay. And she said, "And why are you always hurt?" And at that point, I got triggered. And it's a sign. So for you, when something's happening for you on the outside and you become triggered, your body has a reaction to something someone says, pay attention to it. Don't just get
Mhm.
into the feeling of what you're experiencing, but pay attention to that trigger sensation. Where do you feel it in your body? And for me, I became incredibly triggered at this comment. And I got angry and I was like, well, I don't know why I'm always hurt. I don't know why something's always happening to me. I just know that I feel like I'm a sword being forged in the fire. And every time I'm hit, I am ascending to a different level. And she just
Mm.
looked at me. Now, the backstory to that is I had just been in a car accident on my son's birthday and wasn't able to walk for 2 weeks. I had broken my finger and I was young. So being told by a surgeon that you're never going to be able to move your hand again was not exciting to me. But obviously that didn't end up being my truth. And I just had this history of always hurting myself. And
Wow.
so when she said, like, yeah, I know exactly what's wrong with you, I was deeply curious because this was a woman who was charging $100,000 for per session to work with individuals. And I'm like, what are you doing? I didn't understand exactly what she was doing to do it. So I wanted one. So when I got the offer, I took it. And it was transcendental. So
Mm.
I Subconscious reprogramming supports you by getting to the root of whatever it is that's happening inside of you. Whatever the trauma is, whatever the story is, however your subconscious has received a message and now it's playing out for you, it gets to
Mhm.
the root of that story. And for me, I bawled. I'm not a big crier. I bawled throughout my entire session because for the first time I was coming face to face with what was really in my way, what was really the quote unquote problem. And I will tell you, I've had a lot of things happen to me in my life. And these little things that popped up were so small and so inconsequential that it was devastating to me that this was what was really holding me back.
Mm,
So after I
mm,
finished that session, I had this deep breath. I, you know, let myself relax for the rest of the day. And then I was fundraising for a friend who was going through cancer treatment. She lived in New Zealand, and unfortunately, it was her fourth time having cancer.
mhm,
For it coming back, the treatment that she needed was not covered by insurance, and so she was paying out of pocket. So I asked if I could raise money for her, and she of course said yes. And I knew that I had to do something bigger than what I've ever done. My best
mhm,
month before this was probably $50,000. And
mm,
I said, I'm going to teach people what I would do if I wanted to create a 100K month. I've helped my clients hit it. I just haven't been in the mindset to actually do it. And I did. And that month after having that session was the easiest month in my business ever. Everything people were just saying yes. It didn't make any sense. Like we track, I'm I'm ex-banker. We track everything. Spreadsheets are
me too.
life.
Yep.
Like, spreadsheets are life. So we track everything, and the numbers did not correlate with what was actually happening and what
Mm,
our past experiences were for selling. It didn't make sense. But we hit over 100,000. We're able to donate a really good chunk to, the cancer treatment, and then I realized all of my clients need this,
mm,
and, I'll give you one example of why. I had one client who, in her first month of working with me, I was so proud of her. Like I scream. So if people hit like a number or they make a big milestone, they work through some resistance, I will literally send a voice message to people with me screaming in the background, or I'll do like in the comments. Like I'm so excited. I'm the hype person. I really am. I was meant to be a cheerleader. I was never a cheerleader. And, this client, she had a deal that she was working. It was about 340,000 when we started, and then we were able to bring it to 491,000. So she closed 491 in 1 month. And I was like, we got on the call. She's like, "I can't believe it's happening." I scream. I'm so excited. I'm like all these things and, all the feelings. I'm like, "How do you feel?" And she says to me, "How are we gonna do it again?" She had I just I my jaw just dropped. I was like, What do you mean?" I said, "You you didn't even celebrate, like, we should be drinking margaritas right now. We should be dancing around the room in euphoria. Like, what do you mean? How are you gonna do it again? I want you to do it again, of course, but, like, we gotta celebrate this." And so then I realized, I asked her one question, and when I asked this one question to everybody else, they said the same thing, and I said, "How much is enough? Just curious." And she said
wow.
her voice changed. It was like a child came out of her mouth. Her child came out and said, "I have no idea." And I was like, "That's the problem. I want you to reach the moon. I want you to make multiple millions. I want you to have everything that you desire in this life. But will you be satisfied with it?"
Mm,
That's the
mm,
question.
wow. Wow. And I've heard that story about other people who were really high net worth people. It was like people on their deathbed are still trying to find the enough. And I'm like, wow, okay. So that must all tie back to that we don't think we are enough. Is that the core?
Worthiness is at the core of most people's blocks. So whenever I do session and go in and we get to the story of whatever it is, traditionally it's going to tie into worthiness at one point in time, and it can be so small. It doesn't have to be this hugely charged moment where you were, hurt physically or emotionally. It literally can. I had one person who her story revolved around the fact that her family struggled financially, and she couldn't afford milk in the school lunch line as a child, and so she felt ridiculed and not enough, and like, "Why am I not worthy to be able to even have this milk?" It can be it's so incredibly small, or it can be huge, but a lot of it ties down to worth, and your subconscious operates like a computer. It wants to have the simplest possible output. It wants to create patterns to make your life simple because that's what it wants. It wants you to have an easy life. But at the same time, if we are just letting ourselves receive everything that's happening in our lives, the chaos and the good, your
Mhm.
subconscious is not able to determine what is the best possible path. And sometimes it creates routines based upon trauma or based upon pain or based upon old stories that don't actually serve you and that you don't actually want. And it's doing that to keep you safe. It thinks it's keeping you safe. That's all.
Mm.
So it's this routine pattern process that's keeping you safe. And,
Wow.
yeah, a lot of it ties down to worthiness, and so if we can get to the root of why that is, and then release it, everything opens up for you, because you no longer have that block that's in your way. What does the block actually look and feel like, though? That's truly the big question, because it's like, "Well, how do I know if I don't have a worthiness block or have this in place?"
Mm.
If you feel like you go to, let's say, put content out, and you feel stuck on what you're gonna write, that's a block. If you know that you're gonna have better success if you go live and show your audience a little bit about you and talk to them and connect with them, but you can't press the button to click live, that's a block. If you know that you have all of these beautiful prospects out there who have worked with you before or want to work with you or could potentially work with you, and you won't send the email, that's a block. If someone came to you and said, "I want to work with you," but you still haven't sent them the payment link, that's a block. These are all indicative of there's something in the way. Why not? Right?
Wow. Wow. I love your examples because I'm sure anybody watching this, if they're in business, they've felt that one or more of those things somewhere along the line. But the beautiful thing that you're telling us is that those blocks can be removed. I mean, is it an incredibly difficult process? You said you were very emotional through all of yours.
I think of the hundreds of sessions I've done,
Mhm.
maybe 3 people have cried.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so in the grand scheme of things, because this is also a question I get a lot, like, it's gonna be messy, right? It's gonna be painful. It's gonna be this.
Mhm.
It truly isn't. It's cathartic. It's it's a release. It is a rationale. I've had people that have gotten emotional from a perspective of almost angry, like, "This is what it is? This is the
Mhm.
thing? I'm so
Mhm.
ready to let it go." You kidding me?
I You probably have people say, "I thought I dealt with that a long time ago."
I thought I dealt with this already. It has different threads. They're it's woven in such a pattern that it's attaching to different sensations and different option of different things that are happening in your life right now. So we gotta actually understand all the ways that these things are threaded together and release it. Is it a long process? I have clients who get phenomenal results in 3 months. That's my
Mm,
preference in working with people actually is during a 3-month time frame. That
mhm,
is where we can work through, like, worthiness, for instance, really make sure that it's shifted and that you're ready to reach your next level. But let me give you an example because I've heard this said in so many different ways, and it becomes controversial. I don't know why.
okay.
People say that healing is like the layers of an onion and that there's always going to be new and new and new layers. And while I do believe that, I truly do. I think that there's new layers, there's new levels. When
Mhm,
you're doing this work, I'm going to use money as an example because I know a lot of people are entrepreneurs and that's what they can rationalize rather than go into something more emotional. But
mhm,
let's say that you are in your business and you're at $10,000 months. And that's where you are. That's what your set point is right now. That's what your level of comfort is right now.
mhm,
Well, you may not necessarily feel worthy of 30K months. And so what we do is we can get you to that point of like, I'm good, I'm here. But then the gap between who you are at 30K months and who you need to be at 100K months is different. It's a different.
mhm.
There's other aspects that are going to come into your field. There's other things that are going to come up.
Wow.
And so that's where the next level of work comes in. However, some people are like, I'm very happy now that I'm at 30K months, and this is where I want to be for a little while. This is where I'm satisfied being, and this is great. I'm
Mhm.
giving you money as an example. This is just one layer. There's many different ways that we can look at it, but that's just, I know that most of you are entrepreneurs, so this is what's going to make the most sense in this very circumstance, but it goes far
Absolutely.
beyond money. We all have different levels. We all have different layers that are going to be come to the surface when we hit different limits. And whatever
Mhm.
that limit may be, whether it's relational, whether it's financial, whether it's ability to receive, whatever it might be, there's going to be limits that are hit. And once you get to that limit, you're going to want to decide, am I going to go beyond that or this is where I want to stay? That's
Mm.
it.
Yep. Yep. We have free will. Wow, that is all amazing. I love and you give such great examples. I appreciate that very much because, some of this work is very, people just don't understand. I mean, we're not used to in our society hear people talk about, the programs running in the subconscious and that we can actually reprogram it. There's people who just will glaze over like that doesn't even make any sense to me. But it sounds like you are able to chunk it down, make it make sense for people and encourage people, let's go. Let's see what you really who you really are, who you really can be, right?
Yes, absolutely. I want to see who people really can be because if I were to tell you the truth right now, I don't recognize who I am today
Wow.
from who I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. This version of Ryleigh is so different than anything I ever would have imagined. I would never have been talking about subconscious reprogramming 5 years ago or 10 years. I wouldn't be having this conversation. I would
Mm,
be very much on the bandwagon of let's talk about strategy, let's talk about conversational sales, let's talk about, how to show up in a professional and strong manner and let your authenticity flow through. I'd be going down that road. Now
mm,
I know it's something different. Now I know that you can call in the version of self that you truly want to be. You simply have to let go of the limits. And that's when the magic happens. That's when the unexpected happens. That's when you get into a state of flow and you start calling in what you truly want. And
mm,
so anyone who's been at a place where it's like, I'm stuck and I don't know what my next step is, your next step is releasing what is in the way.
mm,
And there are so many different ways to go about it. I have done healing I've personally had experienced different healing modalities for years. I had a lot of junk to get rid of, a lot
mm,
of childhood abuse and so on that I had to work through because I was angry, really, really
mm,
angry.
mm,
But I will tell you the fastest process that I have ever experienced is this modality. That's what I found for myself, and that's what I'm finding for my clients. This was the fastest for me, and I quite enjoyed it. That's why I do
wow.
it.
I love it. We've talked a lot this week in interviews about shortening our suffering, and that's what I think I just heard you describe. I like that.
I like that too.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, and I'm really curious because, part of what I'm hearing from you, and I love the fact that you've got the banking background and now you've got such a different world that you're living in because, you know, uh, so many people believe that the selling process is such a left brain manipulative, gotta convince people and all this kind of stuff. How do you describe the selling process now from this very different kind of space?
The truth is that it didn't change because I never thought of selling as a m I don't believe selling should ever be you're forcing someone into working with you or you're having to convince someone into working with you, and I never taught it that way. I taught
Mm,
something called and still give to my clients when they need it, conversational sales. I feel that if you are adept at asking great questions, uncovering what someone really is what the roadblock is, what's really stopping them from getting whatever it is that they want, and you have a process to be able to walk them through, you have the authority, you have the right to be able to make that offer. You have the right to be able to say, "This is how I could help you." I advise people to ask for permission first. I don't think you just need to go out and pitch. You can ask them for permission. And that's
Love it.
so in a sales conversation, I truly believe it should be as simple as the conversation we're happening right now could happen over coffee. We could be
Mhm.
drinking coffee together. We're having a similar conversation. We're sharing back and forth. You might tell me a few things that are in your way that are, you want to get to your goals, your big dreams, what you want in the next 3 to 5 years. And then we can talk about, well, what are the steps? Would you like me to help you bring that to life? Yes, Ryleigh. Well, here are the steps that I would recommend you follow to bring that to life. Now, do you want me to help you actually do it? It can be that simple. People
Wow.
put sales on this kind of crazed pedestal because here's the thing, because they have had their subconscious is programmed to have these experiences on what sales really is. They have heard in the media, they've heard in movies, they've heard in real life. They've gone to car dealerships, they've had these incredible experiences, and then they believe this is what people think sales to be. So that's also programming. That's also something that can be shifted. And if you
Mm,
shift it to really believe in your heart that you have a valuable product or service, that you are here to deliver that service to others, that you're here to create impact and help others, then of course you need to be a great seller. And of
mm,
course, you deserve to be a great seller. And of course, people deserve to hear about what you have to offer because it's going to transform their lives. It starts, though, by shifting that way of thinking right at the root, because it
mhm.
will come up and flare up in different ways if you don't. One really cool exercise everyone can do, just to give you a little something to start
Yeah,
understanding how you think about sales, is take a
yes.
piece of paper, put a line right down the middle of the piece of paper, on one side, I want you to write down, just take 5 minutes and do not stop, put the timer on, 5 straight minutes, all the beliefs that you have or other people have, because sometimes the other people ones, the reason they're coming through you is because you have them too. All the beliefs that you have or other people have about selling, and just write it down on a piece of paper and don't stop. Don't take your pen off the paper, just write until the timer goes off. On the other side, then write the flip. What this is not true. What is true is this. So
Mm,
do that exercise. And an example would be like all sellers are sleazeballs or all sellers, are manipulative. The truth, so then the other side would say, this is not true. The truth is, not all sellers are manipulative. Some people are manipulative, but I am not. I desire to create impact and help people. That is my truth. So you would just do that back and forth. Do that exercise. You'll have a lot of things come up and show you where you really stand on selling.
I love it, I love it. I've actually done similar exercises in a classroom with people too, and it's amazing because I truly believe that's the main reason so many heart-centered entrepreneurs have trouble being
Mhm.
able to make money is because they got that program still sitting there of the used car salesman, right?
Yes.
We've all had those experiences, and they do not leave a good energy with us at all. Amazing. Well, this is incredible. So tell me, what you keep talking about out there somewhere, 5 years, 10 years out. What is your vision for yourself 5 or 10 years out? Do you have one?
Of course. Oh my gosh, I go to her quite frequently because that's where the inspiration comes through.
Oh,
So a couple things about my vision. I desire to help more people, of course. That's my root. I don't desire to help personally thousands of people, but I have a vision of how we as a collective can help thousands of people,
mhm.
millions of people. And so over the next 18 to 24 months, I was going to do it faster, but I decided to slow down as the world has been shifting quite rapidly. And I
Mhm.
think that it needed a pause. But my deep 5 year goal is I'd like to have this system where people, healers, and other individuals who have healing modalities or the ability to help in some way make a pledge to offer 100 free sessions every single year, and in doing so, we're calling it Heal 100. And in doing so, they in turn are going to just have this web. Now, for those of you who might have been struggling to make sales in your business, when you take this type of pledge, if you help 100 people for free, what's naturally going to happen? some of them are gonna
Somebody's
work with
gonna
you.
come back.
Like, it's the energetic flow of give and receive. So that's naturally gonna happen. If you are someone who, you only work with 20 people a year because that's all you desire, but you do these micro sessions to help 100 people, well, now you planted the seeds, so every year you're gonna have what you need coming back. And not to mention that it compounds. So the more people who take the pledge, we end up helping millions of people every single year, and they all get
Mm,
a taste of some type of healing. And if you can just take someone from a low and bring them back to even just neutral for a moment, that can shift someone's life in a huge way. So my vision is to be able to bring this product to life and
mm.
help a lot of people. All of us help a lot of people.
I love it. I got goosebumps when you were talking about it, so I know it's percolating. Great stuff. Well, please tell everybody who watches this, how can people reach you? And I think you even said you might have an offer for folks. Please share.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Yes. So I have a couple things that I want to give you. The first one I want to give you is I created a little quiz. This is free, of course. I created a little quiz that helps you identify exactly what blocks might be coming up for you and gives some tools and resources to navigate through them. So if you'd like that, then when you are watching this video, just put the word quiz in and I'll identify it. I'll send it to you in the DMs. And you're welcome to have that. That will help you just identify kind of what's in your way and what you want shifted. And the other thing that I'd like to offer, and I don't do very many of these, but I feel called to offer it today, is one of my superpowers is being able to have a conversation with someone and identify what the actual block is for them, even if they can't see it. Now, can I
Mm,
get to the actual moment in their history of when it happened? No, but I can identify what the actual block is. And so I'd love to offer the community one of those calls. They're pretty rapid, 15 to 20 minutes. We just have a quick conversation. We identify what's kind of in the way. So if you'd like one of those, you can put breakthrough in the chat and I'll have a breakthrough call with you. We'll get to the root of whatever's in the way, and then I'll give you a couple things on how to navigate it. Um, and that's it. I encourage you to follow me. I encourage you to join my Facebook group, Money Flow Mentor. I go live in there every week, and I post valuable content in that community all around this. And yeah, just stay in my world. I'm so happy to meet all of you.
oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, I know that you just offered some huge blessings to people, and by gosh, they better take advantage of it because I have no doubt that they can all benefit from your wisdom. So, thank you so much. And I'm just curious, do you have any parting words of wisdom you'd like to leave people with?
Yeah, I want to tell you this. Okay, so for everyone that's watching, if you have a vision of what you truly want to create or do in this life, and you feel like you're not reaching it and there may be a feeling of like I'm not enough or I'm not the right person, I'm not good enough. I want you to understand this. The reason that you receive that vision, the reason that you have that dream is because it is possible for you, not because it is impossible. It's because it is possible for you. So the reason you feel resistance towards giving it up or towards, not living it out is because you're meant to live out that dream. That's possible for you. It's available to you. You must take steps towards it. If you weren't meant to have that dream, you would feel a deep level of peace about not following through on it. It would feel complete peace towards it. Any anxiety, pain, stress that you have towards not living out your dreams is because you are meant to actually live them out. So I just want to remind everyone that if you're in that space and you feel resistance or a concrete wall or something's coming up against you and you can't move forward, you simply need to understand what the root of it is, release it, and take action because there are so many people right now in this world that need help, that need services, that need a lift up. And it is our responsibility in this time to be able to help more. So I just want you to know whatever you're dreaming, it's yours. You just need to
Mm,
claim it.
mm, 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 mm. Thank you for that, Riley. That is amazing, and I couldn't agree more. I tell people we all have a piece of the super puzzle to create health, wealth, and peace on earth. And whatever's been given to you, let's go do it. Thank you for being with me today. It has been such a pleasure. And thank you to all of our change makers who are tuning in and seeing all these amazing people that are being interviewed. Let's pull together. Let's figure out how do we make a bigger impact in the world together. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in the next interview.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much, Jan.